Hello, everyone. It is currently, it's 2:19 in the morning. I get off work late, and then I have to come home and edit these, which is why I'm recording this so late. But this is our bonus episode. I had way too much material. We recorded for like an hour, and most of it was decent material that we could have put into the end of the episode. But I didn't want to put out a 4-hour episode, so we're putting out this instead. I am very tired. I had a wonderful weekend at Pride, which is why I did not get a lot of time to edit this ahead of time, and I just had to do it after work. But I hope those of you who celebrate Pride had a lovely time, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of June, whether that's getting drinks with friends, whether that's just spending time with people you love, whether that's going to a big corporate parade. We all have different ways of celebrating. I hope you have a wonderful June, and I hope you enjoyed this bonus episode. Lots of love to you all. Okay, so I know we've already talked about this. The current time is 10:24 p.m. I've just come back from a lovely day in Annapolis, Maryland for the Pride Festival there. And Taylor has just finished Hero of Ages and is emotionally devastated.
I am. I don't know how I'm going to make it through this.
We're going to have so much to talk about. Oh, God, I need to sit down and actually write out my, talking points so I'm, prepared. I still have work to do, tonight, because I haven't done any of, the meta research stuff.
So, we're dog sitting, my boyfriend's aunt's family's dog. Mm-hmm. So, his name's Mozzie, and he's really nice, except for he gets a little growly
antsy
at other people, and this is an apartment complex, so there are other people. But other than that,
he's very cute. Walton, if you want to say something, I don't care if you're on the episode. It's fine.
Do you want to say something to the people? Now's the time. Because he read The Well of Ascension. He read The Hero of Ages a month ago.
Yeah.
So.
Wait. So I do want to follow up on this. Walton, what was your thoughts when Vin actually died?
What were your thoughts when Vin actually died? Because you were making that joke.
Yeah, I was I don't know how I'm going to continue this joke to Taylor, right? I just keep reminding her that Vin's going to die.
Oh my god.
No, when you told me you were making that joke, I thought... I was just
Jack and I just had this moment of oh fuck. Yeah, Taylor, if you go back and re-listen to the end of the Well of Ascension episode, we are so absolutely priming you for that. Or maybe it's the Alcatraz one. Regardless,
there was some
priming me for Vin's death.
I'm gonna need to. I think it was end of Well of Ascension episode. But I remember very intentionally dropping some little hints that were the type of thing that any person in the audience that had already read the books or us later would pick up on as, oh, Jack is fully just telling Taylor how it ends without noticing.
Like what?
I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. I think it was what was it?
I remember when we were discussing Walton making this joke. We got to the point where Jack said something along the lines of, wait until Taylor finds out that Walton wasn't lying at all. Vin does die 11 times in the book.
Or I think I made some reference to Sazed even becoming the Hero of Ages also. I think I said that as a joke.
Yes.
Okay, wait, we do have beef actually, because why in the Mistborn episode you were next book, Kelsier is the one who does the little things before the chapters, and I was looking.
Did I say that?
Yes, someone told me that Kelsier writes the blurbs before the freaking thing. So every time I'm going into Well of Ascension, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this guy's probably Kelsier, and then I get like a few chapters in, and I'm like, this guy, I don't think this guy's Kelsier. And then I did
no
that
memory of
again with
that.
Hero of Ages, and I was like, okay, Kelsier's this time. And I get a few chapters in, I go, this guy's not Kelsier. What is going on?
I gave you a hint in the Well of Ascension episode about who was writing the chapter interludes.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's so specific. It's so
specific.
It was the I think thing, right?
Yeah, it's the I think, it's the unfortunately. It's because in Well of Ascension, Elend picks up on Sazed and Tindwell's terrace mannerisms, and then
Which are ending every phrase with like I think. And
I was losing my mind. I was like, there's 100 pages left, and I have no clue who this person is who's writing these things. I'm losing my mind. I'm like, it's the person talks like Sazed. How is it Sazed? It's not Vin. Well, I thought it was Vin for the longest time, and then Vin wouldn't talk about themselves in third person. And then I was like, I'm so scared it's Elend, because clearly this person is a scholar who cares, and I hate Elend. That guy sucks. We'll talk about that.
Oh, for sure.
Elend is... Every time Elend pretty much talked, I was like, shut up. I hate you.
Speaking of... Oh, wait, sorry.
Elend is a different dude.
Oh, no.
Elend
Elend's just a different character.
So bad.
He's fully a different character.
Bad.
No.
There are moments where I like him, but like... The moment where here in my notes, I hate Ellen Venture. Dance with your wife, you utter cunt. It's what I have in my notes.
Oh my gosh! No one saw this, but I just whisper screamed into like the mic, or like silent screamed. I'm so angry at Ellen Venture.
No, and if you hated the fact that Ellen had to become Mistborn at the end of last book, well,
he's a better Mistborn than Vin now.
Well, okay, I think
he's a stronger Allomancer.
Yes, I've been over it because I think this even came up like on an interview once where someone was like actually asking Brandon Sanderson that, like in a weird kind of like, hey, don't you think it's unfair that Elend is stronger than Vin? And Brandon Sanderson's answer was basically like, which of the two do you think would win in a fight? It's not Elend. Like,
I don't care. That man is a fucking emperor. He's powerful enough. He doesn't need that shit.
Like
secondly,
exploring the idea of having someone who's a like undiluted Mistborn, like original Mistborn with that power. That's kind of neat. It being Elend.
No, it isn't.
I think
second of all, we went over this in Will of Ascension. His ass was fucking jealous as shit, and also he was a little insecure about the fact that he had a strong and powerful hot wife. And I don't think he deserved to be a little bit more powerful than her so that he can have his male delusions.
Listen, we're all on the same...
strong, powerful man.
We're all on the same page that Elend becoming Mistborn was the worst part about the entire series. Or like one of the worst. Like from
I was going to say the worst part about the entire series is the fact that it believes in race science, but...
Oh God, we'll get into that. One thing I wanted to say, just back to the whole like I think thing, like the picking up on the Sazed speaking tones. That's not the last time in the Cosmere that will matter.
Oh, I'm sure. Or last time it won't matter for Sazed, or the last time it won't matter for characters.
I will say no more.
Oh, I think I know at least part of what you're referring to. Yeah, because I know there are at least two characters from this series who make returns.
In not just in like Mistborn Era 2, but like in other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because in the grand scheme of the Cosmere, because the whole point, like the first books of the Cosmere, they're not going to do crazy on the crossover stuff. They will get crazy on the crossover stuff, and as crossovers become bigger, it's Mistborn and Stormlight are the two like main pillars of the whole all of the cross Cosmere stuff. The other stuff are relevant; they're important, but like it's Mistborn and Stormlight are kind of the two like main.
Well,
ones.
I'm gonna also make the case for White Sands, the graphic novel, which I know you have not read. But I do know that the main villain for, or at least one of the villains for Era 2 is from White Sands.
Yeah. Era 2. Well, Era 2.
Wait.
Era 2 might be.
For me?
Oh, go for it.
Sure.
Walton was telling me that I guess we just put his name in this time. Walton was telling
Friend
me
of the show.
that one of the main
Boyfriend of the show.
boyfriend of the show, one of the main like cities in the new world is called like Ellendale or something. Like,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
named after Ellen.
It's named after Elend.
Oh
yeah.
my god, I'm gonna throw up. That guy sucks. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I actually forgot
Why
about
am I
that because in the thing is in Era 2 nobody talks about Ellen. They talk about Vin, they talk about Kelsier, they talk about Spook. No one talks about Elend except just the fact that the capital city is called like fuck. What's it called? Wait, where's the Era 2 map?
It's called dog shit.
The
because
Basin
that
Era 2
sucks.
map. No. Also, yeah, Ellen. Oh, it's Ellendo, the main city, like the capital, the equivalent of Luthadel, like the main city things happening.
Yeah.
Disappointed.
Yeah,
That guy sucks.
Hey, this book also ended with somebody becoming Mistborn.
That's
just
true.
just being made Mistborn.
And it's something I don't like in this book either.
And it's another character that was feeling insecure about their lack of power because of Vin.
It's so weird of just being like
this whole book is people feeling the whole series is people feeling insecure about how strong Vin is,
Guys.
and then a god giving them Mistborn powers.
Guys, I have to confess something.
Sure.
I'm a little insecure about how strong Vin is. Isn't that weird? Guys,
Me
I'm
too.
a little insecure.
Me too, but I think it will work for me because I'm a man.
True. I'm gonna be honest. I had a tab for Alrianne for this, and
Good.
of course I never used it, but I wanted her to be a main character so bad. I love
And
her.
she is a plot
so
device
much.
and nothing else.
I think
She's
I
nothing.
think I don't think she was so
She
much a
doesn't
plot device, so much
moment.
as she was just now an extension of Breeze's character. Like, anytime Breeze talked, there was just also this other person talking. Like, there's a lot of
Yeah.
scenes that was just like they were always together and they were like tag teaming somebody. Like,
I know.
Yeah.
It was
they
never
just became
her, though,
like
on her own.
yeah, they just became like a unit of a character, or rather, Alrianne became like an extension of Breeze's
Stapled.
character.
I was so excited for her. I thought she was gonna have her commanding. I thought she was gonna have her running off on a horse, yelling at her dad moment again. I wanted it so bad. That was the best thing that came out of Well of Ascension. That
Yeah.
moment. I love her. I love her so much. And then he just goes like this with all his side women characters. He just goes flattened it out.
Yeah. That is, we were talking about this before we started the recording, for the listeners at home, but like, I like sort of went into this apprehensive because I didn't really remember much of the book apart from the ending of Hero of Ages, and I remember the ending of Hero of Ages being like largely pretty good. And you know, I still stand by like the ending is the most interesting part of this book. Like most of this book works. There are sections of it that I don't like. Just like reading this one, it's sort of wild to think about Well of Ascension and be like, you had this in you?
No, I did. Yeah, we were just shitting on it. I did broadly like Hero of Ages. I did broadly really, really like it. But also, I remember why, Graham, you and I were struggling so much to remember what happened in the first half. Because the answer is it's not much. It's just the second half, I think, hit so hard that you forget about, like, you just read, like, the first 300 pages or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I enjoy moment to moment, and then I like get past it. I'm like, that's weird. Like for example, I really like Spook's arc until I don't. But I like his is the only one where Ruin is talking to him that hits for me, where I'm like, I would fall for that. For every other Ruin talking, I'm like, that. I would tell someone about that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, I keep wanting to mention things and I'm like, nope, save it for the actual main episode.
I kind of disagree though. I was having a trouble getting through getting through Hero of Ages. I didn't like the beginning. The only parts I liked were the parts you hated, which I was like, which was
I didn't
with
hate the Kandra
Tensoon.
stuff, but
I was like, guys, because, okay, there was definitely a point where I was like, everyone calls this book, like, high fantasy. And I'm like, the only high fantasy elements we're getting here is with the Khandra. Like, everyone else is just people with, like, a little bit of powers. And then turns out in the end, it was a lot more high fantasy than you thought. But, like, I get it. So, like, I kind of forgive that. But, like, to me, reading through this, I was like, the Khandra and the Koloss are the only, like, really high fantasy parts of this. And I want to delve into their culture. Like, what are they up to? Like, I'm sick of this human shit. Like, can we go do something fantastical?
That actually does remind me of something that was a little disappointing. I remember the Koloss reveal was one of my on the first time I read it, like way back when. The Koloss reveal was the thing I remember so strongly as being really into, like thinking that was like such a cool reveal. But also, for some reason, I remember it being a bigger part of the story than it actually was. I was a little disappointed that the Koloss reveal happened, and then they were just like, and that's the last we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, literally, like, slightly later in the book, Elend is like, oh, I have the knowledge that these are all people once, and then now I'm going to get a new army of them and make them my slaves. And it's
What is wrong with him? Why just want to take that boy's shoulders and just shake the shit out of him? Like, what are you doing? Why are you like this? And then he was like, he said at one point, he was like, I'm really good at being annoying. And it clicked for me. I was like, that's what you are.
You know what's
a character whose only character's trait is being fucking annoying.
This bonus episode is the Elend roast episode.
I know. I need to get all my anger out here so that I can be
depending
civil.
on how long we go, if I have to release this as another bonus episode and like as its own separate thing, I'm releasing this bonus episode as Comedy Central's roast of Ellen Venture.
No, you know what the worst part? The worst part is, like, I remember when the book started, like the first chapter that's like an Ellen chapter where it's like he goes to the city and it's like defending or whatever. I remember with the notes I wrote for it were literally like, this is not Ellen Venture, but I'm kind of liking this character seems interesting. It's just not Ellen Venture. And then it turned into like, oh wait, no, this is Ellen Venture, but just all the bad parts.
Yeah.
Wait, do you guys want to know the good man count for this book?
Oh god,
Please.
please.
The good man count for this book, drum roll please, is only a whopping 13.
Really?
Lucky number 13.
The only 13 times, and I was so upset because I was bawling my eyes out on the very last
and the last
page.
one. The last one. That one almost radicalized me against the entire book.
Every time I saw...
Wait.
You go.
I remember I almost mentioned this to Graham when we were talking earlier, and I stopped because I kind of wanted Graham to organically hit it. Because he's not at it yet. The Last Good Man is the worst one. The Last Good Man is the absolute worst one.
I'm sure it's
so
the
bad.
Lord Ruler was actually good, actually.
Why?
The Lord Ruler redemption arc is the thing I hate most in this book.
That almost ruined the entire book retroactively for me.
Yeah.
I cannot even believe this guy. Oh my god. No, I fully like X'd out every time it said good man in this book. And I'm sitting there and I'm bawling my eyes out. You know, Walton's next to me. He's like watching me read this. And I go, oh, what the fuck? And I have to like, I'm in the middle of like bawling my eyes out. And I'm like, really? Now is the time for this? Like, could you not have done this?
Yeah. God, I'm trying to write down like what I'm still trying to figure out what the main talking points I want to make sure I hit tomorrow are. I have a lot to say about the epigraphs actually, just from a like writing style perspective.
They're really efficient. We talked about this earlier.
You and me talked about this on our own. On our secret sub podcast we have without Taylor.
What the heck?
The secret
bonus
podcast
episode
being phone calls that Jack does when Jack is driving home from work. Jack will call me, or Jack will call his girlfriend.
He'll call me sometimes.
I'll call Taylor. Yeah.
there's a rotation, and I'm honored every time. Every time I feel like I'm chosen. Every time I'm like, he picked
What's very
me.
funny is oftentimes I will be Jack's second person to call when his girlfriend doesn't pick up. And then, like, 5 minutes into the call, his girlfriend will also call. So we often end up having 3-way conference calls while I'm driving to work.
Well, my girlfriend. Wait, no. Maddie already agreed I could say her name on this. We already had that confirmation.
Okay.
Well, you like talking to Maddie. She
Yeah,
likes
I'm not
talking to you.
complaining.
So that's no. Maddie was recently telling me.
I was saying that was a cute thing that happens. I'm not complaining.
The thing is, we were doing that even before we were dating. Maddie was telling me that the look she gets from people when she mentions, yeah, you know, me and this guy, we're just chatting on the phone every day after work, and that was just us being friends. That was just us as friends. There wasn't anything romantic there. And then it's like, cut to a year later.
Smash cut.
Smash
Yeah.
cut.
I looked at y'all and I was like, in the back of my mind, it was like, set a timer.
Everyone else except me.
I mean, back to the topic at hand. A thought I really had was, you know, he opens so strong in this book, just like, wham!
Banger first line.
New magic system. Here you go. And I'm like, you couldn't have put this, like, in the last 100 pages of the last book. Like, what? Like, you couldn't have maybe even, like, this seems like a reveal that could have kept me going through that awful book he wrote. Like, last time.
If you cut 300 pages from Well of Ascension, maybe 400, and you put Hemalurgy in it, it would be a better book.
Like,
Yeah.
what? That seems so
Hemalurgy-
obvious in hindsight, but you know what? I don't know. I'm not Brandon Sanderson.
Hemalurgy is also just like generally a very like among like the community, like a very popular magic system to talk about, because it's because the thing everyone on like Brand Stairs and communities loves to talk about is how the magic systems of the various books would like interact with each other. And Hemalurgy is always the most fucked up one, because it doesn't just steal Adamantic powers, it can steal everything else too. It can steal you being an Elantrian and like make someone else an Elantrian.
Oh
That's
my
sick.
god.
Yeah.
That's cool as hell.
Nah, it's
Um,
and it's also like the evilest, because like you need to kill somebody to make it work.
Also,
And it
it's something
doesn't
that I want to
become
talk about in the main episode, but I also just want to mention here, why is Hoyd still a beggar in this book? Because I know we don't get this confirmed until we read a much later book, but Taylor, for your knowledge, as of this book, he is a full Mistborn.
Who made him that way? Fucking, did he find one of those nuggets
No, there were 2 of the nuggets in the room.
Oh, of course there were 2 of the nuggets in the room. Of course there were. Of course
So
there
not
were.
only is he a Mistborn,
my
he's as
God.
powerful as the Lord Ruler.
Oh my god. Of course
I don't
he
think
is.
I don't
What does
actually
that
think he
even
becomes
mean?
a Furicmist. I don't think he becomes one.
Okay, actually, that was something, that was like my first thought. I like put the book down and I said, wow, there's going to be a lot of Furicamists and Allomancers like mixed, like Captain Mo and that Terrace girl are already in love. And I say, you know what? The next book, the main character is probably going to be both a Furicamist and an Allomancer. And Walton goes, what? How did you know that? And I said, because that's what I would have done if I were
I will say this is not really a
And he
spoiler,
told
since
me
it's
they're
literally
called
Twinborn. Yep.
Yeah.
It's not really a spoiler because it's like the opening premise of Era 2, so it's not really a spoiler. But yeah, so full Furicamists are like super rare / not even heard of. It's becomes just like with Mistings, like they only have one metal. It's people born with only one like Furichemical metal.
Oh,
So
interesting.
a Twinborn's not like a Mistborn plus a Furicamist. A Mistborn is a Twinborn is a Misting plus a Fairing is what they're called when they only have like the one Furicamist metal.
Yeah. And also
so
there
like
are
the main-
compounders, which is what the Lord Ruler could do, where like they're both a Feruchemist and a Allomancer for the same metal.
Yeah,
and those
'cause then
are
you can
exceptionally powerful.
Because then you can do crazy shit. Like if you can compound random example, steel. Like if you get steel Twinborn, you could theoretically compound speed to the point where it's like you're going like near the speed of light.
Huh. That's pretty cool.
Or whatever your body could reasonably survive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I can't honestly remember if I read all of Alloy of Law, but I do remember the main character being a twinborn and there being some like very cool fight scenes because of that.
Wait, hold on a second.
That's exciting. Oh, also...
Sorry, I'm looking up interviews with Brandon Sanderson. Apparently Hoyd is a Furychemist, but it's not confirmed how.
I love
Cool.
that.
That's
I
kinda
hope
what-
we
Pull
never
up that
know.
man's shirt. I told you what's under there.
Oh, also, speaking of, I got like fucking bamboozled. I was so confident that I found who Hoyd was in this book. And then because I was using the tricks you're normally supposed to use to like figure out it's Hoyd. Like there was the guy with like perfect rhythm, like the like thief king or the beggar king or whatever in the city Spook was in. There was like the perfect rhythm. And normally perfect rhythm, for reasons that will be explained in Warbreaker, normally perfect rhythm is like the number one like sign that like, oh, that might be Hoyd. Or like perfect rhythm, perfect pitch, things like that.
The Citizen? You thought the Citizen was
No,
Hoyd?
no, it wasn't the Citizen. It was like the beggar king.
It was
like the,
Dern. Dern is his name.
I thought that, and then like shit kept going, and I was like, oh wait, no, it's not. And then I thought it was
Wait.
Slow Swift was Hoyd. But then
Yeah,
it turns out Slow Swift is just a Tolkien homage. Hoyd is the beggar informant that Vin almost goes to see after seeing Slow Swift, and then decides she doesn't have time. So he doesn't actually show up in the book.
Yeah, but he's named in the book.
He is
which,
named.
Yeah,
That's
they
right.
say his name.
Which is insane because almost no one's named in this book. Like names are usually not super.
Ooh, sorry. I want to point out. You know what? One of the things that made me cry or get really emotional was, what was his name? Was it Goradel? The
Goradel.
the soldier that was with like Sazed in the city, and then was the one to be trying to bring the message to Vin, and then just got like killed by Marsh, just out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
No chance. But then that actually ended up being the thing that saved the day. Like that is the type of bullshit that gets me, like really gets me.
Oh, I love that shit.
Like him fighting his ass off to survive and it not mattering, but him fighting anyway. Like, and just being a normal guy. Like that's the shit that gets me all the time. No, but what's your thing?
The line that got me, and I think this is the best bit of writing that Brandon Sanderson had ever done, is when Elend is talking to the original crew and he asks what Kelsier was like. And like they all sort of give an example of what Kelsier is like. And then Elend asks, what would he have us do now? And Sazed just quietly says to himself, he'd tell us to laugh more. And like that is such a beautiful bit of melancholy. I'm tearing up right now. There are tears in my eyes. God damn it.
Interesting.
That one got me so hard. Of just like, I've been at that conversation of just like talking about someone who's dead, and it's like that's one of the moments that just really hit me. Of just like that's one of like the most like it's both like very cheesy and also just like such a real depiction of grief, of just everyone sort of being like, damn, that was something we loved about them. That section is my favorite little bit of writing that he's done in all of these fucking books.
It is a nice little quiet moment. I just can't ever get over another moment that really got to me. I can't ever get over the Ride of the Rohirrim type moments.
Oh,
sure. The like speech about how, yeah, we're all gonna die, but fuck it, like let's go anyway.
Yeah.
Like
I remember a
the
14-year-old Jack telling me about reading Game of Thrones and being so moved by Tyrion Lannisters. Those are brave men knocking at our door. Let's go kill them.
Yeah, I like that part. I remember.
No, it's fantastic.
I like that, yeah. God, and I really read those books. I was like 12 when I picked up the first one. Like, yeah. No, you want to know? Okay, listen. any listener that knows the books I'm about to talk about, I'm so sorry this happened to you. But
If you're talking about the Terry Goodkind books, we've already told this story on the podcast.
Have we? Oh, shit,
I mean, we haven't told the story of like you, like exactly when you started reading them, but you mentioned that like these were the first like adult fantasy books that you picked up.
Oh, did I mention that? But
yeah, I think that was on our Mistborn bonus.
I was like 12 when I started reading those, so formative period. It was very much like I was reading Percy Jackson, and then I was like, now I'm gonna read some adult fantasy, and I like looked up like on Kindle search function like fantasy, knights for some reason. And I don't remember why I remember this so distinctly. And that's just one of the first books that came up, and I was like, cool, and grabbed it. Wizard's First Rule.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like there are so many like weird bits of media that like I encountered too early that are definitely responsible for like who I fundamentally am as a person. When I was a kid, we had an after school program, and I was always one of the last kids to get picked up. Not because like my parents were like late or anything; they were picking me up at like 5:30. It's just the other kids were leaving at like 4 or whatever, a little bit earlier, and school ended at 2 or whatever.
This is Graham's tragic backstory.
No, this is not my tragic backstory. This is why when we play Framed at your family Thanksgiving, I know every movie within a single frame. The reason that I'm able to do that is eventually Mr. Phillip, just who was the guy who ran the after school program, shout out Mr. Phillip if you're listening. I don't think you are, but I wish I could tell this man like how much he mean to me. But he would always like he started bringing movies because like he was like, okay, I've got to wait with this kid for a while, so we would put a movie on the VCR. And it started off stuff with like that were like kind of adult, but it's still fine to show a kid, like Men in Black, I would say is like in that range. And then eventually he was just like, hey Graham, you want to see some real movies? And I was like, hell yeah, Mr. Phillip, let's go watch some. So like I watched Goodfellas when I was like 8. So it's like I was probably the only 8-year-old walking around being like the absolute brilliance of Scorsese's Copacabana sequence in Goodfellas, just like an expert use of a long take.
That is one of the most Graham things I can ever imagine. Like you were a 60-year-old pretentious cinephile at 8. Like
yes.
God,
it's all coming together.
Oh
Makes
my God.
sense.
Here, if we do a spin-off podcast, we need to do it just for my own personal catharsis, just a podcast where I get to listen to you two tear every Terry Goodkind book to shreds.
If we ever start a Patreon, that'll be a bonus goal. I don't know if we could get through a ton of them. I mean,
they're not good books. They're also they're not bad. They're not good. Not just because they're boring, but for very like uncomfy to read reasons. Like
absolutely. I mean, so like I'm struggling with The Wheel of Time just because of how like libertarian those books are, and like when we get to Terry Goodkind, who, as Jack has mentioned on a podcast before, said his favorite book of all time was his own book, and after that it was Atlas Shrugged or The Fountainhead.
I think it was Fountainhead. Yeah.
It's been so long since I've read either one of those books, but I do remember that one of them ends with the main character bombing a public housing project, and he's treated as a hero for this.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Vibes? For sure.
Rancid.
I was going to say... Rancid vibes, you're right. I was going to say that if on this spin-off podcast, I'm forcing you guys to read the Sarah J. Maas books, but this went in a very different direction.
Wait, are we supposed to read books we like?
Well, you got to do this ruse, okay? Where you got your best friends
two of my best friends to read
your
my
favorite books, so you can talk about them.
Yeah,
and we can yap about them. So
once again, the initial conceit of this podcast was Jack and I playing through the Knights of the Old Republic games, and then A More Civilized Age, which, shout out if you're not listening to them, please. They're about to finish Star Wars Rebels Season 2. But they started playing through Knights of the Old Republic during the strike, and of course they are much better podcasters than the three of us. So I was like, well, fuck, they took my idea
from us.
Yeah, they took our idea. So then at Thanksgiving this year, because my family was out of town and Jack's family very graciously invited me to theirs, I pitched the Sanderson podcast version of this idea. And then one of the conceits that I had was I want to do this. However, there has to be a woman on the show. I think Taylor would be good.
If it was just me and Graham,
it can't be two white men on a podcast. There are too many of those.
Two white men, mid-20s. I mean, it's inevitable we are going to start a podcast at some point.
Honestly, we're notable for doing this in our 20s. It's mostly white guys in their 30s.
Oh God.
Well, I'm happy I could be your diversity quota.
You're the diversity hire, yeah, Taylor. You're definitely not like probably the most valuable member of this group.
Oh, for sure.
No, now I'll tell you, when Jack came to me with the idea, I think it was Christmas, was it not?
It was
Christmas
around
break?
then. It was like we were in person.
Break.
We were in person, so yeah.
I don't remember who you made the joke about, but you immediately were like, yeah, we're doing this podcast. Like, I was going to ask this other person first, but who was like obviously not. Who? I don't even know who it was.
Yeah, it was someone.
It was like another friend who like does not read books or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. I don't know. You made a joke though. And I was like, damn, so quick to be like, I'm your second option. Jesus.
God, happy Pride. Once again.
Happy Pride, everyone. It's June 1st.
We really got off track.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those bonus episodes I probably am going to cut down a lot or not at all.
What's what else happened? I don't know. I was going to make something about like what LGBT representation was there in this book? Or could we headcanon in? That would be interesting.
Oh my God.
I would say even still, the most that we get is Ham and Breeze, and they're not even allowed to be together in this book.
I know.
Oh my God.
And in the end, I'm in the very end, like, he specifically mentions how, like, Ham and Breeze are, like, making fun of each other. And then I was like, oh my God, Ham and Breeze, they're together again, they're in love. And then, like, Walt's, like, watching me read this, and he's like, you gotta finish the sentence, babe. It says, like, and Ham was holding his kid and holding the hand of his wife. And I said, that's not important.
That's not important.
The important part of the sentence.
I mean, it's disappointing how many of these relationships do end in, like, the marriage state. Like, Spook ends up with the girlfriend that he kidnapped.
No, okay, oh my God, I was reading that whole time, and I forgot that happened, because while I was reading it, what felt like the most obvious, straightforward story is for them to not end up together, and it felt so, like, obvious that they weren't actually going to end up together that I was genuinely shocked at the end when it's like, wait, no, Spook and, I can't remember her name, Beldra? Yeah, Spook and Beldra actually together. It's like, that feels odd. That feels not nice. That feels not good.
I loved her.
She was a fun character, but, like, them ending up together.
I loved forbidden love. They're not supposed to be together. Forbidden. And he can't help it.
He can't help but kidnap her.
Okay, him being a little bit obsessed with her, that was a little weird. But then, when she was so genuine to him, and he was like, look, like, it's not even, like, it's not really like, you know what I'm saying? Where he was like,
yeah,
kind of being like, I'm really sorry that we have to do this. Like, it's just, you know, we're just trying to overthrow your brother. It's not really personal. And he was, like, so accommodating to her. I don't know.
The fact that he stole her address is cute.
I would fall for that. I'm not gonna lie. I don't care. You know, it's a little bit Stockholmy, and
but also,
who
like,
can blame a girl? You know what?
No, I understand, because also, like,
who can blame a
Pride
girl?
and Prejudice, like, it is upsetting for Mr. Darcy to be that obsessed with Lizzie, but also I kind of love it.
I'm obsessed with it. It's a forbidden love. It's a forced proximity. It's getting into it.
Getting all of Taylor's tags.
There was only one storage cavern.
And Spook was so good. I loved him. So
and then
much.
he resisted he resisted the ghost of his hero telling him to kill her and steal her allomantic powers.
Yeah, I was
No,
just
I
yelling
mean, like,
at him the whole time. I was like,
I don't like the final beat of Spook's arc, but like for the most part, Spook is really cool in this book. Also, again, I'm sorry, listeners, that we're calling him Spook. That's what this book does. Lestibornis.
which
also,
isn't even his name. I love that reveal. He's so cute. I love him.
I'm glad you liked that reveal. I hated it.
This is going to be an interesting main podcast episode.
He's everything. You hate everything I love. I'm lukewarm on everything you love.
Oh God. Oh, fuck. Do I save this for the main episode now? I just want to ask because Walton. I remember I was getting so many texts from Walton this entire time of him full Pepe Sylvia board, like conspiracy, like every single moment. I was getting so much from him. He was on that.
I know the question that Jack is about to ask. Taylor, if you want to save it for the main episode, just say let's save it for the main episode.
Yeah,
No,
I'm talking about the earring twist.
Oh my God. I was reading every time in Well of Ascension that they mentioned that damn earring. I was going to rip my hair out. I was like, this is the stupidest Chekhov's gun that's never gone off. What is going on? I hate this thing. Why do they keep mentioning this stupid earring and nothing's come from it? And then we got to the end of the Well of Ascension and I was like, this. And then we got to the beginning of the Hero of Ages and they mentioned the earring again. And I go, this Chekhov gun is still here. Why haven't you gone off? And then it did. And it was okay. I did almost throw the book at the wall when I put 2 and 2 together and they didn't immediately confirm it for me. And I looked over at Walton and I said, the fucking earring is what's letting her pierce the copper clouds. Are you joking? It's a hemophobic spike. And he's like, I cannot say anything.
No, if you have a problem with multi-book long Chekhov's guns, Stormlight might be a little rough as well.
Yeah.
Well, just know that my ass is on that, okay?
Yeah.
He is not getting away with nothing.
When Brandon Sanderson plans a series, he's like, oh, I had this neat idea for a book series. Before I write book 1, I'm going to at least have an outline for the entire series. And so big beats like that, like long laid plans are a big thing in his series.
I can see that.
Which I mean, like, honestly, I prefer, given the fact that, you know, we're never going to get Doors of Stone, and I mean, we may get Winds of Winter, but we're probably not going to get A Dream of Spring.
What are you talking about?
Game of Thrones and The King Killer Chronicle.
Both are both big, you know, titanic, well-loved fantasy authors.
Where the last book was published 13 years ago.
And they never finished the series, and probably never will.
Which, like, honestly is fine. Because, like, if George R. R. Martin never finishes books, I'm not mad. Because, like, those books are good, but also the best things that George R. R. Martin has written are his book about vampires, Fever Dream, and also, I think A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is better than any of the main books. Like, that contains everything I like about him and none of the shit I hate.
I think mostly, like, I used to be really annoyed by the, like, lack of resolution to the series because those were very formative fantasy series for me. But then it's just like I've grown older and I've read a lot more that it's become very much like, okay, if those never get published, that's fine. There's plenty of amazing books elsewhere that I could be reading. Like,
one of the other books that we're definitely going to talk about on the main episode is oh god, what's the name of the series? The 5th season. What's the full name of the series? The Broken Earth trilogy.
Oh yeah, I was just about to bring that up in my own way. I was about to bring that up as like I may not have King Killer Chronicles in full, but at least I had Broken Earth trilogy.
Exactly. Shout out N.K. Jemisin. I don't think she's listening. She has better shit to do. But
if you are,
we'll
I love your books.
Email.
Well, that's one of the things. I made the joke of to Jack on one of our phone calls of, you know what does this better is the Broken Earth trilogy. And I sort of said that offhandedly. And now the more I think about it, those books really have a ton in common.
Mistborn and
the Mistborn trilogy and the Broken Earth trilogy, there is a slave race of or a slave class at the very least of mixed race people who have magic powers in a world that is constantly decimated by volcanic ash and earthquakes. And
Oops.
there's a lot in common. I mean,
Mistborn
ultimately they're doing different things.
Well, that's the thing. You brought up that comparison, and I didn't get it at first because these books are so different in what they're doing in tone. But then when you lay down like the literal, like this thing happens, this thing happens, this thing happens, it's like, whoa, actually, yeah.
Anyways, do you guys want to know what my next book is? After the beautiful Hero of Ages, I'm reading it with my friend.
Oh.
Twilight by Stephanie Meyer.
Hell yeah.
Well, have you guys read this book? Because have you watched the movie?
I read it when I was like 11, I want to say.
No, I watched,
and I didn't read any of the others.
I watched I did a movie marathon of all the movies with my roommates in college, but that was it.
I've also seen all the movies. I think the Twilight movie is fun. The first one at the very least.
The first one is fun. I'll never get over like Supermassive Black Hole because that was just a song that was in.
How
like,
are we better girlies than you, Taylor? Having
I've seen the Twilight movies and I know what you're talking about. I was just gonna make a comment on how goofy Edward is in the books versus the movies. Oh my god. I thought this was going to be something very different.
Another Patreon tier possibility. We go over the Twilight books.
Actually, I would
goofy.
I would just point, if you want this for the Twilight books, I would also point to the Shrieking Shack, who did all the Harry Potter books, and then once they ran out of Harry Potter books and J.K. Rowling was a transphobe, they switched over to Stephanie Meyer's Twilight books, and I think now they're doing Hunger Games books. It's been a while since I've listened to them, but they're really good. Also, one of the podcast hosts has a video game called Misery Chord, and it is upsettingly good. I'm gonna put that in the show notes. Misery Chord is so fucking good. Taylor, I think you would really like it.
What is it? Why is it upsettingly good?
Because it's the kind of thing I would like to write, and I go, God damn it, I can't believe someone else made this.
What is it about?
It is a murder mystery. It is a visual novel murder mystery done by ZC, who is one of the hosts of the Shrieking Shack. And it is set in a all women. It's a convent. It's all nuns, and the woman, the main character, lives in this own room, and she's not allowed to see anyone. But she is sort of like a person that people come to for advice and come to be an impartial and sort of these things. And the idea of isolating her is she's more connected to God. So a murder happens, and it's because she is the only person who for sure couldn't have committed the crime because she always lives in isolation. People start bringing her evidence and stuff to like have her solve the crime. It fucking bangs. It's so good. Only volume 1 is out right now, but it came out like last year, and I assume ZC will be making another one soon. It's incredible.
Speaking of media we're watching, that surprises me. I am right now 3/4 of the way through Godzilla -1, which I was watching right before this.
Oh, it's so good.
I think I had a really weird reaction to it where I was watching through it thinking it was not as good as I thought it was going to be, and then realizing retroactively it's actually really good because I'm so used to Godzilla movies, like it being about how good is the Godzilla, and then this one's like, oh no, it's good because the actors are fantastic and the story about like leaving behind the war is like great. The actual Godzilla is kind of whatever.
No, I think Godzilla is awesome in that movie too. Like, I constantly look at that movie, and I've seen it twice. I have some minor issues with like how like pro-militaristic it is, but also it's so much like less militaristic than any American movie in the past 50 years.
I kept watching and thinking just like Godzilla looks goofy.
I think Godzilla looks great. Well, how many Godzilla movies have you seen?
I feel embarrassed to admit I've seen mostly the new series, like the series of one that like Godzilla vs. King Kong is.
Okay, yeah.
I saw
those are fine.
Godzilla
vs. Kong is fun.
Yeah, there's like Godzilla King of Monsters, Godzilla versus Kong, and then there's like a new one that also has Kong that I haven't seen yet, but apparently is very good if you turn your brain off, but still very good.
Yeah, no, it was fun to watch on a big screen.
Walton and my friend and I, we were like, oh my gosh, it's still in theaters, let's go. And we get like halfway through the movie and I'm looking over and Walton's Googling something and I'm like, what could he possibly be Googling? And we get to the end of the film and he goes, guys, that wasn't a black and white movie. They put it in black and white. And we went, what? We saw the whole black and white movie and we had no clue. I just thought it was black and white because it was stylistic like that. But no, they re-released it in black and white and me and my friends went and saw it.
Wait, the most recent Godzilla and King Kong movie?
No, the most recent Godzilla minus one.
Oh, minus one.
It got a black and white release, yeah.
Yeah, it got a black and white release, and I had no clue. We went in that movie theater, and I'm going, okay, black and white. Like, when is it gonna go to color? And then we're like halfway through. I'm like, okay, this is a black and white movie. That's cool. And then we get to the end, and I was like, wait. Wait,
no, in color it looks great too. I want to watch that black and white release, but in color Godzilla has like the massive purple charge up, which is awesome.
Oh, okay,
yeah, no,
okay,
it was
okay.
just white.
I say Godzilla looked goofy. I still think he looks goofy in this movie for the most part, but the charge up was just fantastic.
The thing that gets me is like this movie was made with a budget of $15 million.
I feel like I can tell. Like I can tell that it's lower budget than most Godzilla movies have been.
I can tell that it's lower budget than most Godzilla movies. I still hear that budget of $15 million, and I go, that is not possible for how good the effects look. I really liked it.
The charge up was something special.
Yeah, it was fucking sick.
You know what it is? You know what's making me like kind of weirded me out about the way they did Godzilla in this? That's making me feel like I'm not liking it as much. It feels like they did no build up to Godzilla. It feels like it was just, yep, Godzilla's here. Yep, there he is.
No, again, I'm completely fine with that. But also, I have seen, I think there are like 6 Godzilla movies that I haven't seen. I really like Godzilla. But also, like, I'm really willing to, like, waive the effects on anything because, like, I like Godzilla when it's very clearly a dude in a suit.
No, I just got thrown off by the fact that we saw Godzilla in the first half of the movie. I feel like because it was just so like not. I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm just saying it's like a mismatch of expectations. Mm-hmm. Like I think what I was expecting was more of a horror movie vibe where we only see slight signs of Godzilla. Like we see the
you
wreckage,
were expecting
the
like the 2014 Gareth Edwards Godzilla because that's what he does. Where like
I think so because like I was expecting it was going to be like a mid-movie climax like when we actually see Godzilla, and then it was like no, you see him fully in the first 5 minutes. Like
yeah, no. I mean, that's how a lot of the Japanese Godzillas work. I think a lot of American Godzillas are kind of embarrassed to be making a Godzilla movie. And like thus they don't really want to show him. But that's one of the like things that I really think is a strength of this movie of -1. It's really efficient. Hi and welcome to our Godzilla -1 podcast, everyone. But one of the things that I think is
this is taking a turn.
No. You just have to cut just this, like the last couple sentences of us talking about -1, and then you saying hi, welcome, and that's just the cold open.
Any more thoughts about Godzilla -1, Taylor?
It was so good. The black and white version was actually really good. I was so surprised when I found out it was actually in color because it looked so good in black and white.
Oh, for sure. I can't wait to see that on Blu-ray.
What does that have to do with Hero of Ages? Great question. I don't know. This is a long bonus episode.
Yeah, it's so much of this is because we're just chatting now.
We're just chatting.
We're literally just talking.
Listen, we had the roast of Elend Venture. That's good bonus episode material.
Yeah.
That guy.
The main episode of
Elend Venture on site.
On site. Oh my god.
Penrod is still on site too.
That's why Marsh is my favorite character, because he did what had to be done to Elend Venture.
March is the best character.
Oh my god. God, the ending was so high fantasy. It was ridiculous. Like, it felt like I was reading a different genre of book all of a sudden. Not necessarily a bad. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that the ending was suddenly. It was like magical armies fighting while like a god reaches down to give magical divine guidance. Elend was just fully like a paladin at the end there, like doing divine power.
It was so awesome.
That was a cool bit.
That was so awesome.
Yeah,
he wasn't awesome. I could never say that.
Yeah.
But Vin was awesome. You know, the whole time I was reading this book, and I was really like, Elend, the only thing you gotta do this whole book is choose your wife. Just pick your wife, and that's always the right answer. And for like the last half of the book, he never picked his wife. And I was just flaming him in the comments with my pen. I was like, where's Vin? Where's Vin? Why are you not more concerned about her? Who gives a fuck about any of this shit? Go find your wife. I will say I liked that Elend never got the hemalurgy spike, and that he tried so hard, that Ruin tried so hard to get it into him. I liked that as a plot point, because I liked that we had one POV that we could like really trust. I would say, and that we knew wasn't like, because like everyone else was like, everyone out here is being touched by Ruin. Like you're like touched by Ruin until proven not at a certain point. Hey,
Taylor, can we see your ears right now?
Hey, man. I'm just trying to have a friendly conversation here.
Hey,
I was just trying to have...
Is there anyone else in the room with us right now, Taylor? Is there anyone else talking to you right now? Taylor, you keep looking over as if Walton's there. I haven't seen Walton all night.
There is a dog next to you, which is quite funny. Oh my god, she has a Condra.
My Condra. My favorite. I love Condra. Interesting.
I wonder what counts as a spike. Like, could I get a tattoo that's a hemalurgic tattoo?
If it had enough metal in it, probably.
Yeah, if it was like a high metal content ink, where like I don't know how you would make a spike that has hemalurgic power, and I don't know, you take a hemalurgic spike and grind it down and mix it with the ink or whatever.
Sure.
Just a thought.
I mean, I think the real problem with the hemalurgic spike there is not necessarily like the spike wouldn't be effective, but like specifically as a tattoo with just the length of process, you'd probably be pretty likely to get a blood disease or an infection.
Ruin would protect me.
Yeah. It is a little contrived how Spook gets his spike though. Which is fine.
It felt very like the One Ring, like finding its way to places. It's like, oh, things just arranged so that he got it.
Yeah, but I love those kinds of stories where it's like, or like those. That's what I love about fantasy, is those like, this is the only way it could have, like the chance that this is what happened. But also there's a chance that, I mean, this is never confirmed, but there's a chance that Ruin, probably could have orchestrated this.
Oh, for sure, because he was influencing the citizen by that point.
Yeah, so he could have been talking to that fighter and be like, spear him straight through or something, or like even guided his sword without even knowing.
That's actually an interesting point, because this will come up again and again in Cosmere books. But a big rule of all of the magic systems is that intent matters. And I don't know if Brandon Sanderson knew this was a rule of hemalurgy when he wrote this, and it only later became a thing. But at least in like later interviews and stuff, Brandon Sanderson says that one of the hardest parts of hemalurgy is the fact that it doesn't work unless you know what you're doing. Not in the sense where it's like, oh, you need to know what you're doing, like you need to know where you actually have to stab. It's like, no, even if you stab in the right place, if you aren't thinking to yourself, I am making a hemalurgic spike, it won't work. Like, intent matters.
Interesting.
That was definitely not in this book.
So that's what I was thinking with the whole like stab thing, because it's like that. And once again, like I think this is like a really pedantic nitpick. Like, I'm not taking this as a fault of the book or anything, but I think I just noticed that's like there's something we're gonna run into where with all these like super complicated magic systems, like you'll end up running into these edge cases because like they get so complicated. They have so many interactions. They have so many rules, all this stuff.
the biggest edge case where we talk about intent for me is one of the most important hemalurgic spikes in the entire book, which is her earring. Mm-hmm. She got it because her mom killed her baby sister or something,
so
and then I'm assuming stabbed the earring straight into Vin's ear. What?
If you go with Ruin was influencing this woman, her mother, then I could say that fits with intent or whatever. Because Ruin was do this. But unless those guards that stabbed Spook were spiked and being influenced by Ruin, that's just a total accident.
Yeah, and that's one of the things where I wonder how much with Brandon Sanderson talking in interviews and stuff like that, and also sometimes when books revisit events in past books, like Mistborn Secret History, for example, I wonder how much of that is sort of retconning corrective, or I always intended it that way. Because I don't think Brandon Sanderson is above printing the legend there of I always intended it this way. Whereas reading some of these, it's I don't know if I agree with that. Because I think this element of hemalurgy that you're discussing is definitely, I agree with Taylor, that definitely comes after this book. That is not in this book in that same way.
I think it's a thing where he's really good at writing books where it feels like everything was planned from the beginning. But also we are talking about a literary career at this point, 20 years long. Mm-hmm. That is just not how human creative brains work. He's definitely changed his mind about things, come up with things later. He didn't conceive of every idea in the Cosmere, of every magic system working back when he was writing Elantris. Things came afterward.
This book does really... I'm looking forward to the reread of Elantris after this book.
Yeah.
Because I love how... I love their... Well, that's what this podcast is for, so we'll talk about it tomorrow. But I'm looking forward... I want us to do a little bit of comparison to this series in Elantris.
Oh, I'll say this in the main episode, but I'm going to need to remember to give... I'm going to need to remember to give a random shout out to... the random guy my sister met that listens to our podcast, apparently.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that was so cool.
We have a couple people to mention. We have to mention Futura Minor, who thankfully I sent a magazine to for a bit at a Discord I'm in, and I paid 25 Australian dollars to have that magazine from November of 2000 sent to them. Shout out Futura Minor. And we also, I asked Colby if they were cool with us reading his fan letter that he sent in, and he was. So I'm going to read that at the end of the show.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I'm so pleased with that.
I was so happy that day. Colby's so cool.
Shout out CJ.
I'm probably gonna go to bed here.
Yeah, I have a book to finish.
Yeah. Graham has homework.
Enjoy.
I do.
Enjoy.
All right,
It's a good ride.
I
will text you guys and say whether or not I cried at the end.
Perfect. I'm gonna stop my recording right now.
Okay, yeah. Good night, everyone. Thanks for listening.